Okay, hello everyone. We're back again at the 397th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 9th, 2021. Mr. Gesh, are you ready to begin the second part of the workshop today, which will be, I presume, questions and answers?
Yes, as usual, ready, able, and willing.
Okay, let me see what we have here. We have a couple of hands up right off, and I'll remind the attendees here in the Zoom chat that they can raise their virtual hands, and we can allow you to open your microphone to speak. We have someone new here, Saga SS. Allow you to speak first, and we have Ed and Salamia behind that. And you go ahead, Saga.
Alô?
Yes, hi, let me hear you. Can you say who you are and where you're from?
Muito obrigado. Eu gostaria de perguntar ao Sr. Cash se meu entendimento está correto.
Hold on. Can you please bring, I think it's Portuguese. Do we have
Português?
I think it's, where are you from? Portugal? Sorry, Brazil?
Sim, Brasil.
Hey, Raphael should be able to help, eh?
Yeah.
Raphael, can you go ahead?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Pode
Ok.
falar, Saga.
Obrigado, Rafael. Sr. Cash, eu gostaria de saber se o meu entendimento está correto, e eu teria uma dúvida, se estiver correto. Para gente que mora próximo à praia, ao mar, vamos dizer assim, somos caiçara, né? Eu estou entendendo que quando uma pessoa entra no mar para, por exemplo, surfar, ele consegue ir de um ponto a outro na velocidade do mar, ou seja, do campo do mar. Eu pego uma prancha, subo em cima e transporto o meu corpo físico pelo mar numa onda de forma muito rápida.
So the first part of the question of Saga is, my doubt, please correct me if I'm wrong, but my doubt is, and what I understand is, where Saga lives close to the sea, and he understands and he see that the people who surf in the seas, make surfing, that when the person goes inside in the sea, he can go into the flow and transport itself through the waves of the sea. This is the first part. Pode continuar.
Então, eu estou entendendo, se estou certo ou errado, não sei, que todo esse translado que o Sr. Cash está tentando nos ensinar se dá dentro do magrave, ou seja, do campo magnético e gravitacional com o meu posicionamento. Sendo assim, eu poderia utilizar as ondas do universo para me ir a um determinado local, a um determinado planeta ou situação do universo, na velocidade que eu consegui sintonizar dentro daquele campo magnético do universo, das ondas do universo.
So the second part is, so I am understanding that all this that you try to teach us is inside the magnetic fields of the universe, like the guy who go in the sea and go the fields, the waves of the sea, we go and learn the waves of the universe. So with this, I could use the waves of the universe to go in the velocity that I can tune with in the universe.
Ou seja, toda a desmistificação, todo o processo se daria no meu entendimento de compreensão, de manipular, de usar esse magrave existente no universo que, assim como o Mr. Cash fala, a Lua faz subir a maré, faz descer a maré, faz nascer planta, faz murchar planta, ou seja, tudo se daria nesse magrave. Se o meu entendimento estiver correto, a minha dúvida é o seguinte: assim que eu compreenda como manipular e como, vamos dizer assim, surfar dentro desse magrave do universo, eu necessitaria de algum aparelho, assim como o Mr. Cash fala da cápsula, do enjaulamento. Existe a necessidade de eu ter algum aparelho específico para isso, ou eu, com o entendimento do magrave, posso criar através da minha alma, né, essa proteção, esse aparelho que daria proteção ao meu corpo físico, ao estado do meu corpo físico, no translado, né, de um ponto a outro.
So all the process in my understanding of is about the manipulation of this magrav in the universe for us to travel. So my doubt is, as I can understand, how to serve in this, how can we serve in this magrav of the universe? Do I need an equipment for this? Or me, with the understanding of my own magrav, I can position myself to a specific place?
Obrigado, Rafael. Obrigado, Mr. Cash. Essa é a minha pergunta e a minha dúvida se meu entendimento está correto.
So thank you, Mr. Cash. And this is my doubt, and I would like to know if my understanding is correct.
You understood? 100% correct. But it depends on what the strength you want to travel the oceans and the waves on the oceans of the universe. Some of it we see as light, some of it we see as fields, and some of the true fields of the universe are not even visible to the eye of the man. But the field forces of the universe are the undercurrent of the sail of every object in the universe within the ocean of the universe. And that's all it is. We try to teach you how to use the field strength, what we call at the speed that has no dimension, but on the planet Earth has been dimensioned to be the fastest at the speed of the light. And in fact, that's all the purpose of teaching is, for you to understand a new method of travel and transportation and transmutation. Or if you cannot do it with your soul, create the machines, you call it UFOs, that they become the systems that can create the condition of your soul to do the traveling at a higher speed for you. This is where the change has come. You always went on a donkey, or you went on an aircraft, and you deposited a soul with it, and they took you from A to B. Now we introduce you a faster aircraft, you call it UFO. But the soul still is entrapped in the totality of it. But we show you that with your knowledge, that the soul has an option to be carried on its own. Does not need the donkey or the aircraft or a spaceship. But as you have now learned to move it fast as it can, and it has the capability of, we show you better machines to do it for you, at least till you're mature enough to understand that what actually the main captain, the better system is within. And that's all the purpose of the teaching. learn a new system, call it UFOs, to carry this encaged life inside you, or to go faster with it, or go to new dimensions with it, or trust and understand the master and travel on its own without the spaceship and physicality of the van or the donkey. It's all you. Depends how many more layers you want to put on this physicality. Would you like to translate?
Ok. Saga, tá me ouvindo isso? Saga? I don't know if
Doesn't matter, you
Saga...
translate. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Ok. Então, o que o Sr. Ken estava falando aqui, basicamente, em resumo, é que você consegue, o entendimento do Saga está completamente correto, e o propósito do ensinamento é tudo isso. Você consegue fazer, o nosso objetivo é fazer uma viagem através dos campos Magrav e não necessitar mais de OVNIs como a gente está acostumado a fazer, ou de naves espaciais como a gente está acostumado a fazer. Então, o processo ele foi ensinado, você pode ficar viajando através de um OVNI e viajar pelo espaço, confiando a sua alma nesse processo, ou você pode também estar confiando na sua alma como ela sendo capitão. E esse é o nosso principal objetivo, fazer você confiar para você viajar por si só nos campos magravos do universo. I was translating simultaneously here also, Mr. Kesh, and Saga, he wrote here that he was able to hear my simultaneous translation in the Telegram that he was listening to. But I tried to make a summary in Portuguese of what you said.
Okay, thank you. Shall we move to the next person? Or are we finished with that part?
Yes, let me explain something very simple. When you're a child and you ask a question from your father, and he understands that you have not got the essence of the question, what he's answering you, because he sees a spectrum and you see a little narrow light through his answers. He tries to find another example, another way to explain the same thing for you to become enlightened to understand. And it's more or less the job we do. We tried long enough to teach the children of man how to do things the right way. And as some matured and some did not, and some went different ways. Now we're teaching one go, that we make sure everybody understands from the same hymn. Everybody understands the knowledge. And this comes very clearly through Brazilian community. In the school of the thoughts of most of us around the world, jungles of Amazon are the most remotest place where the most simplest people live, the most, what I call, no knowledge, access to nothing. And we consider them as something out of the line of all of us. We say, if you live in the jungles of Amazon. And then we have the knowledge seekers and scientists in universities and in governments around the world. As I said, this time, when we listen, especially, for example, last week to the Brazilian workshops, which was a beautiful presentation by all the knowledge seekers from Brazil, when you stood there and listened to all of them, they are teaching, and a man in Amazon, with a very simple understanding of what he has managed to understand the technology of GANs, and has the same knowledge as the scientists in NASA and in other space agencies to use the GANs. And simultaneously, within months of releasing the technology of the cup of life, The people of the Amazons in indigenous groups are making ganses, as we saw in the teaching of the Brazilian group, as we see in the laboratories, universities, and different places around the world. This is the true knowledge. And then this is where we came to touch, where to teach, independent of the place, position, and hierarchy of the man which is chosen for himself. It's beautiful when I see people in Amazon wearing the gas rings and making the ganses for Corona, as we see in the what we call the parliamentarians of the Iran parliament, as we see with the leaders of the Chinese leadership, as we've seen within the structure of the European hierarchy. This is where the knowledge truly is understood and truly used at the same time, simultaneously, but with the freedom of choice, but with understanding the benefit of it. The next step for us is to bring the man of the Amazon to be able to build that spaceship elusive to the man in NASA, maybe earlier than that. And at the same time, we give them the opportunity to understand that elusive, the dimension, the strength of the soul. Maybe people of the Amazon, now they understand the power of the plasma and gases that they use and they produce, they become the true man of the universe long, long before any of those in NASA and other space agencies. They become the true flyers, and the others are still in dungeons and dogma. Which one has a higher degree to accept the opinion of a stupid idiot? But it's nice. I would like to thank you, Raphael, and the whole of the Brazilian team, that you took the knowledge to the depth of the jungles of the Amazon. And when we see them, when we see the indigenous people using it to save their lives, it gives me a pleasure that we have managed to reach mankind right across the spectrum. We've seen ambassadors changing the office of embassies into the laboratories of gas production in Denmark. And we have seen diplomats and politicians carrying it in their suitcases. And when we see it used in Africa and in jungles, now we understand truly we have reached what we wanted to mankind at the same time. And nobody can abuse it against the other. You've done a wonderful job in Brazil, Raphael and your team, and the whole of the Keshe Foundation Brazil. We see the same in Iran, we see the same in China and other parts of the world. And this is where the true knowledge comes. And truly we have reached where we came here to serve. Thank you very much to all of your team and the Brazilian group. It was a beautiful presentation of your workshop this Saturday.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. Thank you for your presence there with us.
Mr. Keshe, you mentioned indigenous groups, and that came up in the Keshe Plasma Reactor group last night as well, or yesterday morning, depending on local times. We mentioned in that group how the Cherokee Nation from the US had signed the World Peace Treaty July 24th, 2017, about 4 years ago. And the thought came to me, as it has in the past at times, that it would be a good time to bring together or have them come together, the Aboriginal and Indigenous groups, tribes, and nations from around the world, to speak as one voice and all sign the World Peace Treaty, and so become perhaps the first real nation that's a signer of the World Peace Treaty to speak as one voice from all countries of the world, but as one nation. So I think that would be interesting. What do you think of that idea? Is that something that the Keshe Foundation or the Universal Council could get behind?
I think so, you can do, but there is much more it can be done. For indigenous people, the true history of man, the way they lived and the way they live, and we got to support. There is a big need to put things right for them what's been done wrong to. But as usually, whenever you try to do this, they see you as radical groups and all sorts. The way we said the path of the Keshe Foundation is we share knowledge collectively with all and for all. And maybe we need to strengthen some parts. Maybe we need to create these conditions that the indigenous groups become aware that they're respected irrespective of the place and the position they're in.
It's interesting in the plasma group, Dean had brought up that he had gotten actually, I think it was in the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace on Tuesday, where Dean, not Dean from England, but Dean from the US, had brought up that he had acquired some land through a lease agreement or some sort of agreement, and was beginning to do Keshe agricultural practices on that land and wanted to connect with the agricultural people from the Keshe Foundation and so on. And so he's actually beginning to work with the Cherokee people, Cherokee Nation in that context. And you can see that could easily happen all over the world with different groups.
You got Dr. Gatwa and other groups. Hopefully very soon, I hope we can do it in the coming time. We're trying, I hope this is all things to happen, is in progress. You bring the Chinese, the Iranian agricultural groups and others into working together and sharing knowledge and collaboration. It'll be happening in the next 2 to 3 to 6 months. This is what we are planning to do and we're working towards. Then they can become part of it to learn. We're running a larger scale, particularly data gathering in different parts of the world. And Dr. Gatwa is the head of the agriculture of the Keshe Foundation in Namibia, in Africa. And he can support you if you put Dean in touch with Dr. Gatwa.
Yeah,
He's got best.
He was actually there in the meeting, and it was the One Nation, not my plasma group. And Gatwa reached out to Dean, and they made a connection there as well. So
that's good. What happened with your competition? Where did you get with it?
Well, I can give the newest update here if you like.
Did you manage to get anything done?
Well, we haven't made it to first place yet, but it's getting very close.
Is it close today or is it tomorrow?
It'll be at, I have it as 6 a.m. I believe it was 6 a.m. Central European time. Tomorrow will be the end of the voting, the popular vote part of this contest. Let me just tell people briefly what this is all about. This is you've probably heard it several times from me already if you've been in touch with the Facebook and other groups, but this is the Create the Future Design Contest put out by Tech Briefs, which is a publication attached with NASA. And basically it's to commemorate and look at the various innovations and concepts and designs that people are putting out in 2021. And there's over 500 entries in this contest. And currently the Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit has got 353 votes in this competition. If we look at the page with the number of votes, That puts it in the second position out of the top 10. And the top one has 466. We have 353. There's 110 or more vote difference, and the votes for number one keep going up as ours keep going up too. And there's only about another day of voting left. So I don't think we're going to be able to get into number one position, but you got to take into account that all this voting is just the popular vote part of this contest, which actually has nothing to do with the actual judging of the contest, which is done by a panel of 24 judges who look at the attributes of each of these entries in various categories, and there'll be a top one in each of the categories here that we see on the right, and this unit's in the medical category. And so, like I say, the popular vote doesn't supposed to not really influence the actual judges who judge on certain criteria, but certainly we've got the attention of the judges by having this universal body enhancement unit, which started out quite low in the position and worked its way up very rapidly. Actually, it's the fastest moving unit in the whole program here, and we blasted through into the top 10 and very close to number one position. It's also interesting if we look at the number of views. We're at 9,344 views now, and if we go to the number of page views, the Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit is number one in this whole contest for views, people that have looked at it, and that's by 2,300 views more than the second and third place. It's another 2,000 less than that. So we're going to have nearly double what the next nearest competitors have in views, which is pretty significant. I think that's in itself quite amazing. And you can imagine the number of people besides just the knowledge seekers that have been exposed to this. So in a way, it's a bit of a foot in the door for plasma science to be introduced to mainstream science, is the way I look at it.
You know what's your pitfall in this
What's that?
competition? This competition is run by NASA, correct?
Yep.
NASA has a very strict policy when they put my name on it. You shouldn't put my name in it. That no one in NASA is allowed even to consider or talk to anyone connected to Mehran Tavakkoli Keshe. This is directly from the head office of the Keshvan, what you call NASA headquarters. So, in some way or another, they will find to eliminate it.
That's no doubt true. I took that into consideration, Mr. Keshe, and I think that they are going to be put in a very kind of awkward position right now.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm telling you.
Think about this: if this unit wins the whole competition, and that means they invite you to New York City for this big dinner, expose thing. And you're not allowed into the country. I'm not allowed into the country. We have to send John Bliven or someone to be representative. But they probably won't have that. They won't have that. It's all from. This is directed from Keshe Foundation Canada. You happen to be a director of Keshe Foundation Canada, so in a way, this puts them in an awkward position. But this is what. They have to start accepting the technology. This is the only way out of it for them.
But you have to understand that, as usual, they find a riddle around it. But it was good to be in it. It was good to expose it. And hopefully we try our best next week to show this machine and the new sister machines, which is added to this collection from the new what they call exhibition center. We have given a strict, what we call understanding to those who work for Keshe Foundation and are within these premises, not to speak or leak or give any information from the fish tank to something else. And in the coming weeks, you will see new technologies out of the Keshe Foundation. Very, very rapidly by October, November, we will start showing breakthrough technologies. And we don't expect to win any competition because it's very hard to accept to do this. But it was a very good try. I told you from the beginning, it's a beautifully placed, and you will see they find a way to dismiss the entry.
Yeah, no doubt. They'll even have a hard time understanding the description here and what is all this stuff and so on and so forth. But it'll be enlightening to quite a few people.
Time understanding it, they'll be told just dismiss it. This is a policy set by NASA headquarters.
Mm-hmm. But there is supposedly an independent panel of these 24 judges, which are not directly attached to NASA. There are various engineers and scientists and CEOs of companies and so on. They might be contractors for NASA, but they probably won't be told directly not to vote for it. But they might be. They might be when your name comes up somehow. It could trigger all the alarm bells and so on. But this is kind of a test. This is just a test, and we'll see what happens. And I
wish you all the best.
We need to break the ice somehow, Mr. Keshe. So we might as well. Why not put your best foot forward? This is the best. This is like the flagship of the Keshe Foundation, and it's under the medical section, but it could have been under any one of these other categories.
What's the highest vote on all the categories put together?
The highest vote is the one for this educational toy, 466 votes.
That is from all the categories.
Yes, all of these 10 leaders are from all categories. So the universal body enhancement is in second position out of the 500 plus entries.
That's good. Let's see. But I was told by the Iranian knowledge seekers they can't get into what they have a lot of problem. And we'll see. A lot of other people have problems to get to voting of this space. Somehow it's set up if you're not English speakers, you have a problem somehow to understand, to follow it over stone. But it's good. Thank you very much for the exposure.
Yep. Some of the groups are putting out videos with the translation of the how to vote and the step-by-step process in their languages. So that's something to consider.
No problem. Any other question? Wish you all the best. We know next week. When would they announce it?
Pardon me? Say that again. I'm not sure when the actual announcement is. This to be announced, they say, and the judging actually starts after September 10th, which is the end of the voting part, the popular vote part of the program here. And so that ends, like I said, at 6 a.m. Friday, September 10th, 6 a.m. Central European time, which is midnight Eastern time in the US, basically. So
wish you all the best.
Yeah, we'll see. Just it'll
and
be
how
interesting.
do you win the prize? What is the prize if you win?
Oh, well, there is let's have a quick look at that. It's kind of interesting. There's prizes.
It's a free ticket to the moon, I think, from NASA.
Well, it's kind of interesting. The prizes, we go to prizes here. See that properly, we should be able to. For the most popular entries, the 10 most popular entries by popular vote, which we are undoubtedly in as number 2 right now, the 10 most popular entries determined through the online voting will receive a magnetic inspired prize package.
Yes, we're gonna get something.
Courtesy
Okay,
of
it goes to
Nanoport, it's called Nanoport, which is kind of an interesting name here. I'll just bring that up briefly. And they have what's called a tack hammer. And this is a little magnetic hammer actuator. See how it's moving back and forth and tapping? Now, when I thought of this, I thought of the tapping technique that you've talked about many times, Mr. Cashion, tapping on the heel. And imagine this as a magnetic device that you could attach to the heel for people in coma or in hospital in horizontal condition. And it would provide that tapping automatically for the heel and produce all the effects that you've mentioned, which are quite amazing, actually, from just that tapping. In fact, I do pacing. I do pacing in the morning just to get that tapping on my heel. I pace back and forth and really stomp on my heel, and that helps get my whole system moving in the morning, which is important. The more older I get, the more I realize how important that is. So maybe this is something that could be attached when you're sleeping or something.
Trying to tell me you're going to keep the present in Canada. That's it. I've got the message. No problem.
Well, no, you can have it if you want. I'm just saying this might be an idea that the Keshe Foundation could develop and then put it into next year's competition and win that one on the medical side too. Or use their own products to win. I mean, it's magnetic. It's kind of neat. So anyway, it's got some kind of experimental package that's involved with this thing, and it's actually about a $600 or $700 package in the U.S. It's not just a cheap little magnet thing. So anyway, and also the 100 highest scoring entries based on the judges' evaluation will get a certificate of achievement suitable for framing. And the awards dinner, the grand prize and the category winners, so if you happen to win the medical section, for example, will be invited to an awards dinner scheduled for November at the famous Walter Club in New York City, where they will be presented with a special plaque and have the opportunities to speak about their innovation. Okay, now
you didn't get any of it. We didn't win any prize. We didn't become number one. Maybe we'll
get a dinner sent to us through online or something. A free dinner.
Yeah, they'll do the what do you call it? What do you use for delivery in your country? They will send you on the bike. It'll be there next year.
Maybe FedEx or something from a doggy bag from the awards dinner. Yeah. That would be good.
That'd be good.
So first place for each category is a computer workstation or laptop. In addition, we get the 1-year license for this special software and expensive software and so on. The grand prize for winning the overall everything of the whole competition is $25,000 US, probably minus any fees from the government for taxes. You might be lucky.
That's good. That was a very good try. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So back to our normal programming here.
Yeah. What else are there any other questions?
Now, we had a question regarding from Malcolm that is relevant here. He says, you mentioned I'm not clear on this, the new visual enhancement units will be released in a few weeks. Are these different to the goggles released a few weeks ago?
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Okay, and I think you had another question. And if the goggles already released are the same as the visual enhancement unit you spoke of, is there a certain...
No, they're totally different.
Okay.
We're getting feedback on these glasses from people who took it. And take it and let us know if you can purchase them, and let us know, because it gives us an insight into a lot of things.
He's
The,
asking if there's a certain practice one does while wearing the goggles to enhance the process.
no, we don't give any preset ideas. We want to see what
Mhm.
people come up with, what feedback we
Right.
get. In line with this, maybe next week, we hope. These are part of our what we call international clinical trials by the foundation. Many of you who suffer, and especially if you are over age of 50, 60, we suffer from what is known nail fungus. There we go, another helicopter, making sure Keshwan is under observation. It's the whole city, there's only one helicopter, I don't know why every time passes over here. Many of you know what it is. I was told if you go to these nail salons, the ladies go, you pick up different kind of viruses or what different called funguses. We have developed a technology that all you need to do is to literally wet or soak your fingers and your toes 2 or 3 times a day, nothing else. And the results are amazing, but we want to know how far we can deliver this to be able to curb this. Many of you have a bad smelly feet and nails which are coming off, or you split, or all sorts. This is not what we call health or medical material we sell or whatever. This is a trial. We have made 1,000 of these units available. They'll come in the standard packages, and we value this on about €250. It's a small package, but it has shown massive results, very positive. We want to do a clinical trial on 1,000 cases. And this is for people who, if you go, Rick, on Wikipedia, bring nail fungus, everybody knows. Some of them are horrendous. Some people even lose their toe, nail, and everything. We have done trials over years, and now we want to put this 1,000 containers as a clinical trials outside around the world. It's all you need to do 3 times a day. You just put this in a glass jar and you wash your hands, not just your fingers, wash your hands and wash your toes and feet with that water. And we want you to take pictures before, during, and after. If you can describe the smell or what.
Mr. Kerskin, what did you want me to search for specifically?
It's called a nail fungus.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a very common, especially for, that's the one, yeah. This is very common, especially people who go to hair salons and that kind of thing, or, sorry, nail salons, and to people over certain age, even the nail drops off. We want you to send us reports on how and what you see. We want to see the success rate, the smell, the infection.
Sorry, Mr. Kirsch, can you adjust your microphone a little bit there? It's getting a little fuzzy. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm playing with it. That's why.
Better. Thank you.
Okay. We want to see the response, and then we'll pass it on to pharmaceutical groups to what we call market it internationally on the license. It's been tried, and usually doctors up today, there is no solution for this. This is not what we call medical apparatus. This is a clinical trial. We would like you to test it. Please do not digest or anything else. We sell this on the certification that the gas has been approved to be and tested in China on animals for Keshe Foundation Austria. as a safe product for skin. So it's within our trials certification, and we would like you to test this. And if you have any kind of infection, boils, and all sorts of things with it, picture them before you use and after use. Keshe Foundation store will open one which says fungus jar, enhanced fungus jars, what do you call it, the containers. And it's been valued, that is it's about €250 per bottle. And you don't need more than one bottle for the trial. And you don't consume it. You have to keep it always in the same, just keep on adding water to it at liquid condition. And you wash your hand within 3 to 6 months trial. This has been an irreversible condition up to now. We think we might have found part of the solution to it, and we would like to see it. And then the data will be passed on as part of the structure of the new Keshe Foundation to be, what do you call it, further developed or marketed by the foundation on the license to major corporations that can do the job. We need all your detailed addresses and everything, who it is, what you're doing, and you revert back to us. The what they call the Keshe Foundation sales will market it next week or so. Same time, Keshe Foundation will release 2 new products in the next week or 2. One of them is a new advanced Keshe Foundation system, which we have developed for arthritis. And we will market it again on the clinical trials on the back of the certifications we have. And we want to know how using this device will bring changes into arthritis and bone pains. This machine has been valued at €2,500, and is again on the clinical trial purposes. Due to the fact that we are releasing the enhancement units into public domain, Keshe Foundation, most probably within next few weeks, will release the elusive power generator. As the technology is used in the enhancement units, now we are contemplating within the next few weeks, maybe a few months, to release the elusive power generators. Many of you have been waiting for, some of you already paid for them and waited, trusting us will come up. We are in a position to be able to hopefully release these into the market. But we tell you, let you know more. The research hasn't stopped, the development hasn't stopped. And there are a couple of more new products will come into operation in sales, you will see. And as I said to another teaching, I think you will see the Australian group start putting their products up, and the same will come from other angles and groups in Keshe Foundation. And we will hopefully, in the coming weeks, once the understanding completed, we'll start selling the paintings by the Romanian artists who make the GANS products and paintings. And we have asked Serfui to handle this because he owns what we call a painting gallery in London, to handle this on behalf of the Keshe Foundation for the artists to make things that can be put in the exhibition in Linz and be marketed on the Keshe Foundation website to promote new technologies where art can be used for health too, directly as they use the gases for application and implication. So you'll see a little bit more will be coming up on the Keshe Foundation structure of the retail side. Any other question?
Yes, we got some hands up here and some questions in the Q&A. If we could hear from Ed and Salamia. Ed next.
Good morning,
Oh.
Mr. Kennedy.
Actually, just a second, Ed. We did have Farzam, who had put his a notice in the chat here, and I think he wanted to say something about the voting process for the unit in Iranian. So perhaps he can say something about that. I think they had some issues with being able to vote or something, but go ahead, Farzam.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Salam, dear Professor.
دکتر خیلی متشکرم. بذارین ترجمه کنم. Dr. Parpur is the part of the head of the Keshe Foundation in Iran. He's been heavily supporting and working for the corona and other problems in Iran with the Keshe Foundation team. He's our advisor and senior medical doctor in handling corona in Iran. And most of you, when you read the protocols on handling corona, come from Dr. Parpur. Dr. Parpur, بفرمایید.
خواهش می‌کنم، ممنونم جناب پروفسور. من فقط می‌خواستم راجع به این درگیری که صحبتش بود مطلب بگم. یکی این که ایمیل‌های کانفرمیشن به بچه‌های ما نمیرسه، به خیلی از بچه‌ها. یعنی همشون اعلام می‌کنن که ما ایمیل‌های کانفرم شدن بهمون نمیرسه برای ساین اپ تو سیستم. و اینکه این تعداد رأی‌ها، من دفعه اولی که دیدم 390 خودی بود، یهو شد مثلا 320 تا 70 تا کم شد. نمیدونم که چی بوده، ولی خب یه خواهش از بچه‌هایی که خارج از ایران هستن، از نارسیدگرای خارج از ایران داشتم که اونا که راحت‌تر به اینترنت شاید بهتر از ما، راحت‌تر از ما دسترسی دارن، این لطف رو در حق ما و بقیه که فاندیشن بکنن که رأیشون رو بدن. انشالله بتونیم اینو به همه نشون بدیم دیگه. ممنون.
خیلی متشکرم.
وقتتون رو گرفتم، ببخشید.
Dr. Parpur just has raised something that they see in Iran, and they've seen it, and that they do not, all the Iranians who have voted do not receive confirmation of their votes or what the response is supposed to come back. And they have noticed that for a period, short period, the voting reached 370 and then was taken down to 305 or 310. And the Keshe Foundation Iran believes that their figures are tampered with. They have seen figures in excess of
what they'll find is if anybody tries to send in more than one email address for their own identification, then it will invalidate those votes.
Yeah.
So if someone tries to send in 50 different emails for their own profile, then it won't work.
Knowledge seekers in Iran independently have sent their votes, but it does not. They don't get a response back, and they've seen the changes. They're asking if you can vote from outside because everything else they are not getting response back on the voting system, even they're voting.
I would suggest that they can try a VPN, let's go, the virtual network.
They fill in the application, everything goes through, but they don't get a response back. Or any shape. Very few people have received it. But anyway, was something which come from the Iranian Keshe Foundation, because they are promoting this very heavily for people to vote.
Perhaps Azure or someone else can assist with that too.
They've done everything.
Something.
They've done a visual video for it and the rest.
It could be they may have targeted Iran to not receive from that location or something.
We suspected that I told you anything comes from Keshe Foundation would be a chance. Do not expect much. It's very mumuch like a Nobel Prize meeting we had in Delft University in Holland in 2011-12. The Keshe Foundation Discovery of Gravity was nominated for a Nobel Prize, with 5 elite scientists from around the world to meet in Delft University to confirm that the technology, the discovery and the technology, and it was all organized by the United Nations and the officers of Delft University and 2 universities in Holland that organized this meeting. And when we attended, there were a bunch of taxi drivers and plumbers. And I contacted the professors who, before their name was given, they said we were threatened if we attend, we lose our position as a professors in Delft University and a couple of other universities, and one of them resigned. The Nobel Prize is just a fake. And we've seen this before, so do not worry about it. Carry on.
Well, thank you. So maybe we can hear from Ed now. Go ahead, Ed.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Yes.
My question goes back to your earlier in the teaching today, where you talked about traveling to a destination where there was not a planet or a sun or a star, but sending light to a certain destination. And so there is a certain, I understand you've taught us that light is taxi destinated, and at any point in the universe, there will be a certain magnetic gravitational signature perhaps, or configuration that the light that you send will be also that same. But then there's another parameter of light that you talked about, which would determine the speed at which you travel, 1L, 100L. And I'm trying to get a grasp of these different parameters of light and how we sense them. In my experience in the physicality as a musician, I know sound has different parameters. There's a frequency that determines its pitch. There's an amplitude that determines its loudness, and then there's variations in the waveform that create a different timbre or tone. And I'm wondering if there's any similarities. And then another part of the question is, when you send light to a certain place to create that point, what is the process of interaction that actually creates that point that we travel to?
What do you mean? Explain yourself.
The first part or the second part?
All parts.
I'm wondering, these different parameters of light. Well, first of all, am I correct in assuming that these are different parts or different parameters of the light that control these different functions that I was describing?
If you speak light as a spectrum of magnetic fields, yes. If you speak light as we see it, it is part of it.
I'm thinking of,
when you look at the, let me explain to you some other way, maybe you understand. When you look at the horizon in the evening, it's the same light, but you see different colors of it. It's the same with the rainbow. And different speeds and different strength of it. In interaction of the fields in the universe, you have the same thing, but in a different dimension, strength of the both gravitational and magnetic. And in which strength you have applied it or you want to accept it is what will dictate you the spectrum of light. There is something which maybe we can explain it in a different way. The utmost source of light, the strongest source of light ever exists and will exist, is the emission of light from the soul of the Creator. to the lowest of all that is not visible to the lowest of the fields. So we have light from the point of the essence of the manifestation of the Creator to what is not in the strength that can create fields of subdivision of itself to the light in that dimension. The understanding of the light means confirmation of the existence, not light that confirms, as we see, the visual acceptance. When you are blind, does not matter if I put an orange color, yellow color, or white color, with what intensity in front of you. Your eye does not accept that frequency. You understand? So you have no confirmation of it, conversion of it within the structure of the pranama. But as I've said many times, I can make you blind to see, because we can confirm the light of the vision of the soul wants to see. You will see through the soul, and it becomes a visual manifestation. Bats do with sonar to make your vision. You can do the same thing with a bat. But when you speak about the light, gravitational magnetic field, when is that with us is starting from the source of the Creator is light in interaction with the field of itself to the light where the vision of the man spectrum further down, like we don't see the animals see in the dark when there is less light friction and the rest of it. So there is a subdivision of subdivisions. You want to travel, you travel at a higher speed than the vision. You want to go with a higher speed of travel, you go in much deeper, higher strength. But again, in that position, you have the speed of, over the speed of light in both directions, not one.
Mr. Keshe, we're not hearing you. I think your microphone got turned off.
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go back to the beginning. The speed of light reference is depending on you on the position. You can travel the speed of light. I started with beginning. If this is you, you can travel with the speed of light in both directions, going to or going away from. This is A to B. And in reality, you're in a circle. You short circuited this way to the gravitational. You short circuited to the return. You become magnetical in respect to A. In both directions, you can do passing a speed of light. This way you might do it 10 times, this way you might do it 100 times. There is an explosion in the planet, in the star. You can get hit. You can still use its magnetical gravitational fields to run away from it higher speed that its matter state in respect to you can reach you. Or you want to get to the sun, but you want to go faster for whatever reason. You can tune into higher strength field of that sun. But how do you escape when you don't have a position B? You can create field strength of the higher order by going to the inner sanctum of the fields to create this imaginary position field B to go to. I have explained this in a paper about 20 years ago. In the present, we talked about this many times. In the present aircraft industry, we see chemtrails on the back. In the space technology of today, we see the light in the front. This way we know in a matter state you'll be there. This way we know your type of UFOs. Because you create a position, a magnetic field position respect to your position of destination, and you get pulled into. And you always, in the present flight system, you're in danger of whatever is in front of you can lead you, what you call, can lead to your demise. In this system, you always travel in a clean environment because you have created it. And with the backtrack trailer, you'll have complete protection. But you created this point. And you literally fly, once mankind learns the process, you always fly into the vacuum because you create a higher order magnetic field. When we see a UFO as a light, what you see is what's going into this thing is sitting more or less on the back end of it. With the plane, you see the track in the back. With this, here, more fuel you spend, the faster you go. Here, the higher strength fields you go to, the faster you go. Here you have a shield protection. Here you're exposed to physical reality. And you can create it again by the, what we call, understanding of the position. The new dynamic systems are there. Keshe Foundation has placed the order for the first 4 flight system to be manufactured for us, to be delivered sometime next couple of months. The first, what you call true spaceships to create condition of flight, has already gone on order to manufacturers. We promised you 6th of June next year. We have started the program already. 4 flight system has been put through the manufacturers to build the first systems that can fly and create condition of 6 passengers per craft. These systems will be shown by early January in Lens.
So, Mr. Keshe, how is it that point B is created? How do you define?
I explained to you. You have to create a high. If this is another planet, you create this gravitational magnetic field. If it's not another planet, it's a rendezvous point, which there is nothing. In the teaching, go back, I taught you how to create it. You create a field of a higher order than the speed of the travel. And then you have to create a field which is higher than the containment within that field and the speed. You don't have this whiplash and you have to stop, and this thing does not exist when you travel in the dimension of the speed of light. Because it's fields, it's not bumping, it's not physicality. There is no weightlessness. You say you travel in an aircraft and it's doing 1,000 kilometers an hour. Yeah, But you walk around and you have your tea and your coffee and you go to sleep and you do everything else inside it. Is it relevant of what the speed is doing outside? In the lighting system, in the light travel speed of light, we create the fields that the magnetic field of these stay position controlled. We don't create a force compression the way they do in aircraft. And you can travel at any speed because the field, the strength of the system, your body is made of gas, works and interacts with the magnetic field, which keeps it constant. Here, you create a compression to keep 1G. Here, we create a field strength that your body stays at the field strength of itself. There is no way that when you stop, your head falls on the rest of it. You know, I said that many times, even recent time, when the cars came out, the scientists proved that if you go over 25 miles an hour, your eyes will pop out and your brain will come out of your ear. Because they never understood. Now, from the beginning, you understand. You have to create a condition that the GANs structure of the body of man and his souls can be contained in. Then you travel at the speed of light and anything you like. Then you put it in a package of the energy field of a plasma. You create it, or you call it the soul can be reached. You create the position destination by a higher speed to get there. It's very much, I can explain it to you if you won't understand it. You sitting down and you want to go and you feel you want Mexican food. You get in your car and you drive to your favorite Mexican food and you get that food. The emotion of getting and going and knowing where you're going and expectation of what you're going to receive. All created by emotion. Emotion of hunger, emotion of the pleasure, the smell, or whatever that triggered you to go to the Mexican restaurant comes from the dimension of the field strength of the emotion of the man. Now we have to learn to work with higher emotion levels. Hunger is something which triggers us to do something for it. Love is another one. But we have a beautiful saying in Farsi, you've never been hungry to forget about the emotion of love, that the love doesn't exist because from the hunger you die. Love can wait. You understand?
Yeah.
We say, means you've never been hungry enough to forget. Doesn't matter if your love is sitting next to you, sorry, you got to stay there. I'm going to feed myself first. You understand? So yeah. We are aware of higher emotion that control us. Now we have to learn the higher emotion that can be higher than our engagement of our souls. And then you make that Mexican restaurant, the one around the corner, or the one which is a favorite across the city, or if it's not exactly the two you like, you go to a supermarket, you create that Mexican at home. This is the destination, which is nowhere, restaurant home business. So you create that position in the universe where the other two are not there. We are aware of these different strengths, but we never analyze them to separate them to understand it.
Okay. I think the final point of clarification, I think you may have just addressed, but I know like when we're traveling to a sun.
The Mexican food always touches the soul, doesn't it?
Yeah. When you're traveling to a sun or a planet, I understand there's a certain magnetic, gravitational, emotional context associated with it. But in just a point of space, it's not the same as the plasma of a sun or a star.
It is, because one is already created for you before, the other one you created yourself.
Okay.
That's the only difference. As I said, you go to the restaurant or you come and make it at home. This is making it at home the position. Put it this way, McDonald's down the corner is a place everybody goes to get the food. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a place of rendezvous, is it? But you decide to see somebody in the car park of the McDonald's. You understand? You made a point of position of meeting, not McDonald's did open a car park for you to have a meeting in it. You understand?
Yes.
So you create that position. And you have the facility to do because you drive your car and you park it there. Now, that's a new imaginary McDonald's meeting point. You can do the same, but the strength of the field of the creating a condition of plasma, what you literally do is this. You send two different field compositions. And the interaction of these two field compositions at this place creates a dynamic plasma field, which your system recognizes.
Ah.
You understand? So
Beginning to, yes.
You created yourself a rendezvous point by yourself, and you're at this point in your space, you are in yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Hey, thank you, Mr. Kesh.
It's amazing how McDonald's brings a lot of, clarity for the Mexican food. Carry on.
Okay, we've got Salamia with apparently a number of questions. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, thank you very much.
So you're probably allowed 2 questions for Mr. Kesh, but you have to compress them.
I am hungry of speaking because I was not allowed. Now I am in holidays and I can talk. Because I signed a code of conduct and I was not able to talk and have other activities during my activities, so it's correct. And now I'm in holiday and I'm free to talk.
Okay, so what's your question?
Yes. So regarding your body enhancement voting, I also had problems. And I was thinking, I am citizen of the planet, of the universe, how I can choose it. And I didn't find there Romania, I didn't see there, and I use UTAH from United States, and I was allowed to sign it. And I didn't tell untruths because I collaborate with a university and multinational from UTAH, so I was allowed to sign, and I was 101. And now I come back to Mr. Kesh, and I'd like to ask him. So, light is part of our soul, or the means of transportation or transmutation of it. Soul is principal matter, transmuted, created from light, from cosmic rays, as a dynamic plasma interacting with other plasma. And my question is, transport at the soul level, so transmutation, the conversion in waves of light, because we are created from light, cosmic divine rays in essence. Can we convert light at the soul level in light at physicality as Tesla did? Because nowadays, after this pandemic lockdown, we will have climate lockdown, as General Secretary of NATO just announced that we will lock down because of climate change events. So we need to be prepared for another lockdown created by human war, climate war, because they have now the instrument to influence the climate, climatic war. So Dragadiru team is concerned with how we can get from convert energy at the soul level, so energy from plasma in energy on physicality, because we can afford nowadays in Romania and maybe in Europe to pay the bills for energy, for gas. It's amazing because they double the price. It's terrible. People can be killed by cold and hunger if they will not adapt the body to the conditions of outside. I just give you an example. Last night, not yesterday, it was very cold outside, but I was in a skirt, in a short skirt, and I start to dance and make a video, as I like to do it, you know. And I didn't feel any cold, and people around me was amazed why I have a suit of summer, and outside it was very cold. It was like 12 degree, 10 degree, and I didn't feel the cold.
Can you tell us what you're trying to ask? Because we can be here whole day.
Yes,
What
I'm a
is your
big talker,
question?
you know. So my question is, can we convert light at the soul level in light on physicality in order to cope this energetical crisis which we are facing in Romania because we can't pay the bills?
Depends. You can do with the present gases, and we have discussed this many times. There is the technology available. My knowledge seekers that your physical condition can feel warm when the whole room is iced up and frozen. You can create that condition of heat within the body without the interaction from outside. And you need a specific condition of magnetic field of gases to create a condition that you receive it. The water is frozen, the house is, everything is frozen, but you are warm, you don't feel anything. That can be done and has been done.
Yes, and my second question is, do we have a unique soul as a neutron, split it in electron and proton, electron the creation and the proton the creator? Are we a potential?
No, proton is not a creator. How can a proton be a creator when it's created out of something itself from the electron? They both come from a bigger part. In a way, is part of the creator, both of them are. So it's not the creator. So even I can tell you that the electron is the creator, is left over as a proton.
Yes, I heard from Mary from Universal Council this, and that's why I'm asking you, because I don't understand. So can we put together electron and proton and create the neutron? I mean,
no.
the fusion.
Read the book number 1.
The fusion.
No, fusion doesn't exist. Fusion is a dream. Bringing field as to understanding of the same, yes. But fusion doesn't exist. The fusion, the way you talk for, is talked in the world of nuclear to bring electron to a proton. It's a dream will never come true because none of the equations adds up. So a lot of good money spent on research, but unless you convert it into plasmatic fields and then put the fields together that they take what they like in balance out, if they have anything in common, yes, can be done. This is how it's done in the body of the man. But fusion to bring electron and proton together to make a neutron now, because at the beginning, energies were released for them to be separated on the balance sheet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cash. Much love and health to you, and God bless all of us, and especially you, because you are the messenger of knowledge, peace, and love.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Rick, what do we have next? Or shall we call it a day?
I think you're probably getting a bit tired here, Mr. Kesh, and it's been another long haul through the universe here today. So, I mean, we have endless questions, I think, and we have a couple more people with hands up, but it's up to you if you'd like to end now.
We can do questions and we call it a day. Please, those of you who are coming to Linz for the opening of the exhibition, please register to attend for the first 2 days of opening. Just do not turn up. You might get disappointed. We are not expecting many, we don't want many people. The exhibition center for the time being will be used as a what we call political and diplomatic negotiations and work. So we would like to know who's coming and how you come. Please register with the Keshe Foundation. And if you cannot afford to pay for entrance for the entrance of the exhibition, as is the policy of the Keshe Foundation, we waiver the fee. If you're attending the 2-day workshop and being there in discussion platform, which is the 500, if you're coming for a day, which is a €100 entrance fee for everything else. Please sign yourself into coming, because we are setting a structure. We brought in new people that is to be arranged for the schools and universities trips to come and see the new, for the diplomatic course, people flying from different parts of the world to see the breakthrough new technology. And we welcome you for the opening day on the 2nd and the 3rd, but please register. And we are open to share, and from the 3rd or the 4th of October, the exhibition center is open every day of the week from 9 to 5. And for those who want to come to visit, it's an open, what we call visit. And please make sure that we keep everything very clean and cut. We are waiting for new instructions from Austrian government for new rules and regulations with the quota, which should not affect us as much, as we have a large environment of over 1,000, a few hundred square meter. We can easily accommodate up to 50 to 70 people at a time. Any other question, Nick, please? A couple of questions.
Okay, let's try a couple more with Alexandre. Could you go ahead? Alexandre Perez, are you there? You can open your microphone. You should be able to unmute there now.
Alô? Alexandre, está me ouvindo?
Brasil?
Alexandre de Brasil. Yes.
Rafael, the floor is yours.
Bom dia a todos. Bom dia, senhor Mr. Cash. Bom dia, senhor Rick. A minha pergunta está relacionada à aula que o senhor explicou hoje. Eu queria entender um pouco mais como fica o nosso estado na fisicalidade viajando no estado de luz, e, ao mesmo tempo, a preocupação seria também em estar em ambientes que talvez, pelo que eu entendi, por exemplo, como o senhor falou, de estar no sol, como fica essa diferença de energia nossa em relação a esses campos, esses locais? E uma outra segunda pergunta
Deixa eu só fazer
gostaria...
a primeira.
Ok.
Deixa eu fazer a primeira. Obrigado. So you have two questions. The first question is he would like to understand how it will be, how our physical state, our physicality, will remain if we travel by the light. How it could, what will happen to our physicality if we travel by the light?
Can you repeat what you said? Can you repeat here?
Yes. So Alexander said that he would like to understand more how, what will happen to our physicality in a more clear way if we travel by the light to the place.
We do not travel with a physical dimension when you go to the dimension of speed of light. This is what is we're trying to bring to be understood, that the highest speed travels with a physical dimension has a lot of hazards. Certain limitations will be brought in by the compression of the field. By traveling by the speed of by the soul of by the energy plasma, you can create a plasma field and be in it that can interact with the fields of the universe. You can still travel faster than the speed of light, but then you have to be in the dimension of the fields, not matter state.
Ficou claro, Alexandre? Você conseguiu ouvir?
Ok. Sim, sim. No caso...
Deixa eu só falar para ele. Deixa eu só falar para ele que você quiser ouvir. So, Mr. Cash, Alexander, he heard my simultaneous translation already when we were speaking. I was translating. Okay. So, he have a second question. Pode falar, Alexandre.
Ainda em cima da resposta do senhor Mr. Cash, nesse caso, onde fica a fisicalidade nesse momento? Eu vou estar com a alma num lugar e a parte física em outra, fora a minha outra pergunta que ainda tem que fazer, tá bom, Rafael?
So, as a continuation of this answer, we would like to know where my physicality stays in this process. When what would happen with the physicality if I choose to travel through this process of life?
I don't understand.
Let me try to ask him again to repeat the question. Então, como é que seria, o Alexandre, pode deixar mais claro a sua pergunta, por favor?
Ele disse que a gente estaria viajando não com a parte física em si, através dos campos. E aonde fica a parte física nesse processo?
So Alexandre's question is, you said that we travel through the fields. So what happened with our physicality if we just travel with the fields? Where the physicality stays?
Our physicality is an illusion of fields. Your skin is three layers of fields interaction. It's not in a matter state. So when up to a limit, as you change the magnetic field of the environment, they interact as ganses with the environment, not as matter. This is why we can put the physicality within the capsule of the soul of the man to expand to beyond it. And still keep the integrity of the physicality and the soul of physicality within it. It's understanding that our skin is not a solid state, calcium or whatever. It's made of the composition of plasma fields interaction. And all these fields can individually interact with the environment, or we can sustain it as one and change the environment around it to create a speed. You will translate.
Conseguiu
You
entender,
already
Alexandre?
translated it.
Sim, sim, entendi.
Yeah, I translated in a second.
We
Pode falar, Alexandre.
create, we are
Yeah.
not in a solid state matter. Our body, even we touch it, is not even a matter has a dimension of physical interaction of field. If you want to move a stone could be solid here, but if I take it to the moon, the soul of that stone will become a creature which walks on top. We are not dealing with a matter condition. That's why the field of the soul of the man can encompass the fields of physicality of the man, because it's all on a field strength interaction. Keeps on going back onto it. Understand? We call it interaction of the fields. The skin of the man is a dynamic process of fields, plasmas. And the interaction of different layers creates the condition of the containment of the body of the man. So it's a mirage. The total life in the universe, if you understand the interaction of the fields, nothing is physical. Depends on the reference point of the observation. Any other question? Thank you very much.
Posso continuar, Rafael?
He's asking if he can continue to one more question.
Yeah.
Sim, por favor.
Ok, obrigado. O senhor vem falando a respeito da elevação da alma, da humanidade, das pessoas. Como é esse processo e como o senhor está fazendo isso para que a pessoa consiga realmente se elevar? Como é esse conceito e o que seria realmente, dentro do que o senhor explica, a elevação da alma do homem?
So the last question of Alexandre is: you talk about the elevation of the soul of humanity and the soul of the man. So I would like to know, how is this process? What do you mean about elevation of the soul? If you could explain more in details.
The elevation of the soul of the man is for man to be able to live in any dimension and position according to his will. In the body of the man, the soul of the man is engaged and is taken around by the fields of the physicality of the man. He hardly has any control over it. It's like being tranquilized and taken charge of. When we talk elevation of the man, soul of the man, is to be able to understand the existence of itself through, if he likes to say, the understanding of the emotion of the physical condition, which means you're aware of a higher order field of strength plasma within you, and you can give it the freedom to live independently of the physicality. That's what the elevation is. And then even detached from physicality. That's all.
Ok. Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Thank you. Any more, Rick? The last questions.
Well, we have Azar with the hand up here. Perhaps you can let her go ahead, although Antonio in the Q&A had a relevant question with detachment in it, which was, in order to travel faster in the universe, does it depend on our degree of detachment? Would this restrict where we can go and how far?
Roughly yes and roughly no, depends on your choice.
We'll leave that a little bit mysterious for now.
Yep.
And
Gradually we'll open up. People will understand more.
Good morning, Mr. Cash.
Good morning, Azajan. How are you?
I'm good.
You managed to get yourself back to New York?
Yes, I did, and that's why waking up in the morning is easy now, 2 a.m, because of the jet lag. Before I go to what I want to say when I raise my hand, I want to go back to the discussion you had with Ed. When you choose a location to meet, a rendezvous location, which is not the place, it's just a location. So I have to give it a strength. Say I am a 10,000 strength. I create a location with 1,000. Then I have to call you if you want to meet me there. I said, Mr. Cash, the location is 1,000, or you choose your own strength for that location.
You'll find out these things are man-made dimension. You talk when it comes to dimension of the souls. If you have the line of communication or the strength connection, the emotion of the time and the place in agreement with other fields is very easily made. You don't need to give it address. You understand? When you put, I always refer back to Rick's magnets. When you put a new magnet in position, or that's your wish to be in that position, you see all other magnets move to accommodate. There is no location, you move to that, I move to the others. This is the beauty to live within the structure of the soul.
So it's just like when you fall in love, you already know what your lover wants because you can read their mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so I go back what I was.
But depends if it's you in love or you're both in love. It's very big difference. Huh?
Okay.
One-way traffic is both-way traffic.
A two-way traffic.
You turn up and there is nobody there. Oh, sorry, I thought you loved me, but nope. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Cash, when I was in Iran, because I was there for a longer time, I noticed a lot of the stuff. One of the things I noticed when we talk about today, traveling with the soul, a lot is happening. People are doing it in Iran, but they have a word for it, and I keep forgetting it. And then it's called Tayor as they leave the body. But then fascinating thing for me was the non-assist people from my parents, they just moved in.
Can you explain the word you said? Tayor as. Tayor in Arabic.
It's called Tayor as.
Yeah, it's parande. If I'm correct, this means a bird. You can parwas Tayor. As is the earth, what do you call it? The universe, whatever you call it. So they can travel the universe if I understand correctly, the Arabic.
Because Dr. Babu told me about it, that was a guy who does Tayor as, and then I went to Rome and I asked my cousin, and my cousin said a lot of people in Rome, they do that too. And then I said, how can I do it? He said, you have to become a student, one of the master in Rome in order to learn that. And then fascinating was, I was back in Tehran, downstairs from my parents, the new people moved in, the religious family, and my dad told them about the plasma because somebody got the COVID. My dad asked me to make them the new protocol for the family for the COVID. So I made that for them. I gave it to the woman and I explained everything to her. And then the next thing you know, the father called my dad. He is going to the bazaar to buy the copper and the zinc to make it. So the next thing my dad says, why don't you go downstairs and teach them cup 1, cup 2? So I went downstairs and the mother, father, and the daughter were there. So I made a setup for them for cup 1, cup 2, and they asked about you. I mean, they wanted the whole story. So we had like about 2-3 hours conversation, and they were fascinated by it. And the next thing you know, I came back. My dad got a text from the mother that the son wants to meet me the next morning because he has some question. So this little boy, 18 years old, came up, and then he is asking me all this question. But then he told me about Tayor as. I said, he says he's trying to travel with his soul. I said, I'm fascinated, but everything I was telling him, it was from plasma technology, but he was looking at it from different way of coming to it, but he was already there. And it was fascinating for me. And I said, how many people like you exist in Iran? Because you're only 18 years old. And it gives me hope that we are actually at the verge of change, because I never knew somebody like you can exist. And then he said, yes, he was talking about Taylor as traveling to this with the soul. And then he told me, okay, if Mr. Keshe brought this technology, what about people who are not good and they can travel to universe and they're going to mess it up? I said, it's not going to happen because the knowledge is very intelligent, is a creator knowledge. So it doesn't happen something like this. You have to be in peace within yourself, in peace with the whole cosmos in order to be able to do it. And then the fascinating thing for me was, for the first time I noticed there's tons of people that already there exist in all over. I just noticed this about Iran, that they're ready for this movement, the travel of the soul. I mean, I'm older generation. I'm 60 years old, but 18 years old. I mean, I couldn't believe my eyes, and I was so. It was such a joyous moment for me to see people like him exist. And I also told him that. I said, it just brings joy to my heart and soul to know somebody like you exists, that you think about travel of the soul at 18 years old. So this was going to share.
Thank you very much, Azaja. Shall we call it a day?
Sure, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you for today. I hope you listen to the teaching part of the day and learn a lot as we are getting prepared for what I call a new angle, a new ways of understanding and living, and in a peaceful way. And we'll see what comes up and how things will take shape. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for today's 397th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 9th, 2021. And I just wanted to remind people we have the testimonials workshop. Let me get the date. Coming up on Monday, September 13th. And that starts at, let me see, that's the one at 8 p.m. Central European Time. So people are welcome to bring their testimonials of the plasma technology and show them in that meeting. And let me see, don't forget to vote for the Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit if you can, realizing that people are having some trouble with that. But if you're able to, then thank you very much. And we'll see the results of that perhaps next week. Okay, thanks everyone. I'll play some ending ads for the KF store. And thank you everyone for attending today's workshop.